creative and strategic thinking. The days of spending hours on data entry, media monitoring, and manual reporting are fading, freeing up valuable time for more meaningful client work. So we need to focus more on the client and do more work that satisfies their requirements. This shift is overwhelmingly positive. PR is a time-sensitive industry, and an opportunity to redirect hours spent on administrative tasks towards problem-solving, storytelling, and strategic counsel is a win for both agencies and clients. So I want us to reflect on this particular quote. I think it does manage to capture everything that we're supposed to talk about today. I know in industry we have had reservations, both in journalism and in PR offices, where people are skeptical about the use of AI. But that's the reason why the first question in Mentimeter, do we use AI as individuals? If we use it, do we want our colleagues to know that we are using it? Is there anything wrong with us using AI? I want us to have these reflections, and I encourage that we try and get more responses. I still see 7 in Mentimeter, so I see very interesting ones. People do so, but not openly. Others encourage their intents to use it, but also try to help them maintain digital hygiene. Others are very judgmental. Others are able to speak about it openly. Others say it's a big part of their work. Someone says not openly, but I do use AI. So we need to have these conversations, and I think this webinar is very critical in us unlocking this conversation. We need to openly talk about this so that at the end of the day, we're all free to use it, but also we're empowered to use it in more effective ways. So we use AI to help us streamline our work processes. And that Mentimeter question is to try and get up to speed with, if we're to be allowed to use it freely without you hiding from your colleagues, do you think it would have changed the way you process your workflows? What else do you think it would have helped you with? So that leads us to the next question. I'm talking about AI also in the context of, if it's going to help us with our workflows, I also want to know, how much time do you spend doing your public relations work or your journalism work? And if we're to be given the opportunity to use AI, or if we're to be given the right tools to use, do you think this would change? So I also encourage you to complete the second slide, which talks about the amount of time that you spend doing your work in general, either as a journalist or as a PR practitioner. And once we have that information, we start thinking about, so how else can we improve our workflows? I want to draw from a study that was done last year, but the reportings were done this year by We Communications and NBEC, where they tried to understand how AI was reshaping communications and how individual organizations were adapting to its transformation. Their findings are very interesting. Number one, the people that were using AI more frequently were 93% more likely to say that they were being valued for the work that they were doing. 2 in 3 communicators said they used AI frequently. 95% of them were positive about AI. 70% of the respondents believe AI helped them produce better work, and 73% said it allowed them to work more quickly. So globally, this survey was carried out with 1,000 participants, and these are senior executives in PR, and these are their views. And if you look at all the key highlights, they're all positive about it, and people use AI to do more meaningful work. In our context in Eswatini, if we're to reflect on this, how many of us feel that we have a positive outlook on AI, use it frequently, and believe that AI can help us produce better work? And how many of us believe that it can help us to work more quickly? So these are reflections that we need to have. vis-a-vis the kind of reservations that we have. So we need to think about our worries, but at the same time, we need to, for those that have used it, how have you used it? Yeah, I'm enjoying the responses that are coming for question 1, but I also encourage you to go to 2 so that we move. So this particular slide relates to deck number 2 in Mentimeter, like how much time do you spend doing your work and what exactly do you do? Again, another question for you that's in Mentimeter, because we want to make this as interactive as possible and also get feedback from you. Which AI PR?
Sorry, Dr.
Yes.
Evans. On the Mentimeter, I'm not sure if others are able to move to the next slide, but it would seem that it needs you to allow us to go to the next slide. I'm not sure if others have managed. If you can check that for us.
Just try now and let me know if you can see slide number 2.
Okay.
It says, over the last week, how many hours did you work? Anyone who's able to see that particular slide?
Let me refresh. Maybe it's me. It says, please wait for the presenter to change slides.
Oh, okay. I see our chart has been messed up by these people as well.
Yeah.
So there is slide number 2 in the chart.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's in the chart. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I've put it in the chat now. Let me also, just complete this slide, colleagues. We have very good responses for the first one. Let's go to number 2. That talks to the tools that people use in the industry. So this study that I mentioned, it was followed by another study by McGregor, where they asked people the kind of things that they spent more time doing as PR practitioners. So which of these functions constitutes at least 25% of your job as a PR professional? So we can see that most of us, we spend more time doing media relations, creating content, some in thought leadership, some in media monitoring, corporate comms, etc. I just want to open, maybe we can do it in the chat, just for you to type as well, or let me check. I don't see any responses for 2. Did anyone attempt it?
What is the question? I can see. Okay, now no. Still the same question.
It says over the last week, how many hours did you work? So you just need to choose one, and
it's not showing.
It's not showing.
It's not showing that question. No. It's still showing.
What
do you openly use AI at work? Do your colleagues?
It's still showing that one.
Just
Did you click the second link?
I thought I did. Let me try. Yeah, but colleagues,
So
please.
I clicked the second link. But it led to the first question. And then I submitted the first question's answer again, and I'm trying to go on to the second question, but it's taking a while to load.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think same here.
Should we should we answer in the chat or so that we have some interaction, or would you like it recorded on the Mentimeter?
I wanted to record it so that I can see what's happening. The chat is a little bit far away from me, but we can use the chat if this is not moving faster. Anyone else who is having a challenge? Did anyone manage to go to slide number 2?
I know that I didn't. I'm not sure if others.
No, so can't open. Then I click the
No.
second link.
It takes a while.
Mhm.
Takes a
Back to
while.
the first.
Let me refresh it.
Yeah,
on my
when you
end.
open, it takes us back to the first question
Okay, there you
on the
Okay.
Mentimeter.
It's, I see it on the slides now. Let's check it on the Mentimeter now.
Yeah, it's also slow on my side. Let me share the link again.
This Mentimeter has been hacked.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Oh, could you check the slides tab instead of the participants? So just to make sure how many slides there are on it, the slides tab. There's these participants,
So,
editors, and slides. No, I'm not talking about that. Like when you're trying to share the link,
here.
because
So,
SK,
so
watch out for this one raising a hand. I think it's another attack. It's back. It's COVID.
So we are using the participation link. Let's do this. Let me change and see if this helps. I don't know if this one is going to help. Just try to click on it and see what it shows you. But we can come back to this later on. So my
Okay.
point was that we spend a lot of time doing the top 4, 5, and I wanted to ask and understand from the people that are in this webinar, in this room, is this true for you as well? Do you spend a lot of time doing media relations, creating content, thought leadership, and also doing media monitoring? If I could get 2 or 3, but we need to be careful in terms of who we give the mic. Just 2 or 3 people that we can verify are part of us. Mr. Mngadi. When you were that other side, did you spend a lot of time doing these top 5 things?
Of course. Yeah, I use, yeah, like AI is my life now. So I
Yeah,
think
so
all the time.
So I just want to say that if you look at content creation, we can give AI 80% of this work. Media monitoring, just to hear from the people that are here, is there anyone who's still manual media monitoring for the organization? You can type in the chat as well. Are there people that are still doing manual monitoring of media?
If we are even monitoring, that would be the other question.
Okay. Nompumelelo says yes, they're still doing it manually. Uh, anyone else? Yes. So yes, I will suggest a number of tools. Or Sakile says yes. So if you spend a lot of time monitoring the media, that includes mainstream and social media, you cannot afford to be doing that now. We need to be using the tools that are now available. So I'll say, for example, we have open source tools that allow us to do this. For the colleagues who are interested, there is a tool called Focket. It's essentially for researchers, but it can allow you to monitor the media in terms of LinkedIn, in terms of TikTok, in terms of X, in terms of Instagram. So it can monitor those platforms for you. We also have what we call Junkipedia, where you can monitor particular accounts. We have another tool called Meltwater, but this is a paid tool. Meltwater allows you to see where particular mentions are done, but it also allows you to pull large amounts of social media data. We have another tool called Open Measures, but these are commercial tools. We also have another tool called BrandWatch, which does almost everything that a PR practitioner does except the writing part and the thinking part. But it does monitoring and does sentiment analysis as well. So we could talk more, we could have a session specifically dedicated to those tools, but there are free tools available, then there are commercial tools. I don't know, Mr. Mngadi, in terms of the local context, how do companies buy software for their operations? Do they buy as a consortium, or do they go and buy from vendors as individuals, as individual companies?
I'm not aware of any consortium. I think people buy as individual companies. Yeah, I think it's at individual level for most people who buy this software.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would just say that maybe there is an opportunity either for Stratcom or for PRISA to start thinking about buying some of these tools as a consortium, such that you have about 5 licenses that are accessible by all people that have subscribed to that. So if we're going to pay 200,000 per year, it doesn't have to come from, let's say, the central bank. It comes from all the pool organizations, and we dedicate a team of people that are going to just run the scripts and monitor that for us and push reports to the different organizations. I think we're a very small country. We don't have to spend a lot of money on this. We can buy as a consortium and just use that to service almost everyone. But the other free tools, I can train people in terms of how to use them if people are interested. So now, when we're talking about AI and digital transformation and public relations, in this slide, I just wanted to summarize some of the things that AI can do for you. Like I've explained, media monitoring. I've used media as an umbrella. With the tools that I'm talking about, you could monitor all mainstream, you could monitor all social media, and this is real-time monitoring as well. You can also do sentiment analysis, but I'll talk about this in detail in the next slide. You can also do content generation. I think when this webinar was organized, I want to believe some of us in our heads, we were thinking mostly about content generation. It's part of AI and what we can use, but it's not everything. So content generation, that's when you use, for example, Copy AI or ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. We also use AI to do predictive analytics and predictive maintenance of the people that we work with. We also use to personalize our communications and to automate our workflows. But I'll explain these in detail in this particular slide. So we can do real-time monitoring of the media. We can do trend identification. We can do sentiment analysis. So across platforms, we can identify emerging narratives and conversations. These are things that I work with almost on a daily basis. It's not difficult once you've started mainstreaming them, but you need to have a deliberate ambition to be there. You need to have a deliberate appetite for transforming the way you do things. Maybe I'll explain a little bit in terms of sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis helps you to understand the public mood. So you want to understand in the conversations that people are having, or in the conversations that the media is having, are they more positive about what they're talking about? They could be talking about a particular organization. Let's say, for the sake of this discussion, it's the government. You are working in one of the ministries in government, and you want to understand whether the people that are talking about the Ministry of Commerce or Environment, in what kind of mood are they talking about it? When you classify that content, is it positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral? So we use sentiment analysis quite a lot, but also use it to try and be able to have proactive communication systems that try to address the issues that people are raising. We can also use AI to identify narratives that are emerging in the conversation. So we want to be able to, number one, to understand who is shaping the conversation, where is it coming from, and where is it going. We want to be able to classify and say, from the discussion that has happened, how many tangents has it taken? How many quadrants can we put that conversation into? And we use AI to achieve this. And in this instance, either you're using an open tool, you're using a paid tool, or you're building your own code from the beginning to be able to do that. We can also use AI in crisis management, and we do this in quite very interesting ways. So we can use it for early detection and management of potential PR crisis. So as we monitor social media, as we monitor the media, we are likely to see breaking points. And those breaking points are the areas where we need to intervene, and we intervene by what we call predictive maintenance. So we have used predictive analytics to understand the direction particular conversations are taking. And we think if they continue for 2-3 days, or if there's an additional spark to that particular conversation, we might end up in a crisis. So we begin to maintain our publics by beginning to build and churn out our own narratives that we believe are useful and are going to avert the crisis from happening. In terms of content creation, I'll spend maybe a minute on this because I think most of us are already using this. So the traditional process has been that we want to research, to draft, to review, revise, and publish, and we take some time in doing these processes. So when you're using AI and the way you have digitally transformed your system, you have a specific objective. For example, you want to increase your productivity, you want to increase your efficiency, and you want to reduce the amount of time that you spend doing a particular task. So that's where you bring AI as an enhancement mechanism, where you start with the strategic direction. So you start with the planning and having on paper what it is that you want to achieve. So you set your objectives, then you use AI to draft based on the talking points that you have given, and you bring humans to refine what it has produced, and then you publish. And this takes minutes to hours, depending on the scale of the issue that you're trying to tackle. So for this, we use tools like ChatGPT, we use Copy AI, and we can use them widely. So they can create content, they can improve the structure for communication, and we can use them to generate ideas. I've talked about the next one, which is social media management. So I would say, I don't know how many of us in PR are in this particular conversation. They've been able to use bots to post on their social media platforms. So you can use a bot to post for you on X, on Telegram, and these are streamlined processes. You don't have to be physically present. You package and schedule, and all you need to have is an API access, and then you're able to drive through your messaging. So you're able to produce more communication and drive it out even as you're sleeping, because you have mainstreamed your process. You can also use AI to then analyze the engagement that comes out. And also in some instances, where necessary, not all instances, be able to automate the responses that you send to your clients. But I'm sure you've seen in many instances where chatbots where when you're trying to find information from an organization, you talk to a chatbot which is just technically going to look at the frequently asked questions and try to give answers, look at documentation and process, and try to assist the client before they can speak to a human being. So we can use AI to also personalize and automate communication. And this means when we are sending out communication to many people, we can reach them at their personal level. So we know who we are talking to, and we customize the message according to their geography, according to their class, according to their level of understanding of the subject that we're trying to discuss. But it allows us to understand our customers in a more meaningful way. Then we can also use AI for analytics and measurement. We use it for data analysis, measuring campaign success or failure, and we also use it for what I've talked about, predictive analytics and maintenance. All these are things that are possible, but they go beyond generation of content, but they involve more deliberate use cases. So just to summarize this particular part of the section, so I've tried to look at 100 papers that talk about AI use in PR, and I've taken just 3 out of these studies. So the first one says 92% of the people that participated in the study were satisfied with AI application and that it improved in their workflows and saved them time and simplified the way they were working. The other one said that it allowed them to do more sentiment analysis, which is part and parcel of brand monitoring and crisis management, and they found that it would be beneficial. The last study observed that chatbots were enhancing their relations with their publics and were able to personalize social conversations. So we need to be imagining and talking about all these issues in our organizations. But of course, there are ethical considerations to think about. I've talked about all these benefits. I'll still talk about more benefits, but there are issues to talk about. The ones that you see on the screen are the obvious ones, but I want to talk to, number one, issues of privacy. You work for the government. You want to use ChatGPT or Gemini or Cloud to do your work, which is fine. But how do you handle private and confidential information? So if you're going to upload a document that is confidential information, that's problematic. So you need to, number one, redact the document, or at least find substitutes. Where there are people's names involved, just try to think of names that don't exist and put them there. We have to be very careful that we don't expose private and confidential data. We also have to think about bias. So AI systems are built by people. So in as much as it is artificial intelligence, the algorithms are written by humans. So we need to be able to know that they're always going to be biased in one way or the other. And we should always have that human input such that we do not circulate information that's biased or that's not good for the people that we're trying to talk to. Also talking about accountability. When you've written something with AI and AI has made a mistake, who is responsible for the mistake that has been done by AI? Obviously, it's humans, isn't it? The person who used it, because you have the responsibility then to look over. The idea around transparency, whether you should disclose AI content, that depends on the organization. Then authenticity, you still have to maintain genuine human connection. But this is the point where after the draft has been done, you come in and are able to contextualize and insert emotions into the text that you're writing. I had a question for you on Mentimeter. I want to believe we'll take some time still to try and complete those questions. But I had a question to say, what ethical guidelines do you believe is the most important when you're using AI in PR? I wanted your feedback. Maybe you can put that in the chat and then we can discuss it. Then the last part, I was asked to talk about the skills that are required in the future. Of course, I have to address the issues of threats. There are people that when you talk to them, they seem scared that AI is going to replace them. Is it true that AI is going to replace us? Is it going to take our jobs? And I've taken this quote from Provoke Media that says, instead of spending their first few years in the industry bogged down with repetitive tasks, junior professionals are now able to contribute to more impactful work earlier in their careers. So the people that normally do media monitoring and that very boring kind of stuff are the people that are early careers. And these are the people that now we can free their time so that they focus more on critical thinking, on problem solving, and they're also focused on thought leadership. But we do that quite early in the process. So will AI replace people? I don't think so. But what it has done is that it has redefined how we think and are able to talk about what it is that we do as public relations officers. So we need to redefine our roles, spend more time doing things that are more meaningful, and give to AI the things that should be done by AI. So I make an argument that we should leave routine tasks like media monitoring and social media listening to AI and focus on strategic work. And this means that we have to move toward redefining the value from production towards direction and oversight. We still need, of course, to preserve the human element, especially in terms of our interventions with storytelling and relationship building. We still need to do this as humans. So we should always know the right time for us to deploy AI and the right time for us to intervene as people. And I close by making an argument that the challenge is not just adopting the tools, but it's reimagining what PR professionals contribute in an AI augmented world. So rethink your role as a practitioner. What is your role in that organization? And do you think AI has the potential of taking over that particular role? I think we can then open up, Mr. Mngadi, for Q&A, and hopefully people are going to be willing to maybe complete the Mentimeter questions. I'll send these to you so that you can share with the participants. Over to you, Mr. Mngadi.
Dr. Evans, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think this has been, we had a rough start with the hackers, but this, for me, has been one of those evenings where I feel like I'm refreshed, getting new perspectives. So thank you very much. And I hope this is the same for everyone who's here. We've benefited a lot. And I think you made a very good point that most people who usually argue even for and mostly against AI usually talk about content creation as if AI is only about that. And I think I engage with PR practitioners a lot, and most people feel that we are beginning to have speeches that are kind of sounding the same because we're focusing our attention on content generation, where there is a host of other things that we do as PR people, where AI plays an even bigger role, media monitoring being one, the predictive analysis, the issues of automation, the workflow automations. These are things that we do that we can do better. So thank you very much for sharing, Dr. Evans. I think you actually suggesting about the Mentimeter, how we can do it. We will send for people to complete, and I think this is an ongoing network and conversation. So yes, we will try and do that so that we can reflect and also have the data about where most of us are. I think it helps that we know where we are. This is a forum where we, as professionals, we are trying to see where we need to go, where we are first, so that we can know where we need to go. Dr. Evans, thank you very much for that. I think at this stage, we want to open it up for questions. either on the chat or can just raise a hand and ask questions. This is the time that we can have that kind of engagement with everyone. If you want questions of clarity, if you want to contribute an opinion, and I think let's just be free and talk about this. I think there was a lot of questions that you asked, Dr. Evans, for good reason as well, about where we are, some of us, in terms of using AI. This is the time to bring all our fears and any issue that we may have around this AI issue, and where we actually may need help, and where we think there could be some blind spots that we need to be careful about. So over to you, colleagues. I think we will see from your digital hand if you want to join. We'll really appreciate. Thank you very much, SK. I think we've managed the hackers very well. We started very in a difficult start, but I'm happy that we were able to get the job done. Thank you for that. I don't see any hands, but
there are hands. Thank you so much. I see
maybe
Dipshika as a
I'm
hand.
the one who's not. Oh, Dipshika, please. This is my sister. This Dipshika
Hi.
used to work with me at the UN. So good to have you, my sister. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you, my brother. Hi. I'm turning my video on because I just prefer it like more interactive like that. So it's both an opinion and a question. Now, when thinking about AI, I think that it's really important for us to have it in different languages, for example, to bolster the LLMs, the learning language models, right? Um, and also when it comes to social impact, like for example, you said that the human touch is very important. And I feel like right now a lot of the AI that we use is uh, colonized models of just like a few certain prominent languages. I was wondering in Eswatini, do you know of any initiatives or any platforms that we bolster the AI systems to work for the Siswati? And even when you're talking about sentiment and analysis, how do we do so that we understand where the Siswati, like Swazi people are coming from? What are their sentiments during certain trends? Or even if you want to take it on a larger scale, like and make it about the whole continent, about Africa, do you know of any platforms or initiatives that we could perhaps look into?
No, thank you for the question. So
Yeah.
it's difficult. So I would speak first about Eswatini. So we don't have any capacity at the moment in terms of the LLMs. What we've been trying to do, I think last week as the university, we launched the Wikipedia translation project. The idea was to get a lot of content in Siswati so that we could start training models. So we also discovered that even online on social media, Swazis do not want to write in Siswati. So there is that difficulty in terms of having the data for training. We are trying to get people to write on Wikipedia in Siswati, and the project is ongoing, so that at some point we have content that we can then use to train the LLMs. I think what you raise is very key. So when you're doing social media analysis, what do you do when you come to a post where there's code switching? They've written in English, then they've gone to Siswati, or it's completely in Siswati. At this moment, it means you're dropping it off, or you're using human coders to isolate and look at the posts that are in Siswati. But that adds extra work and time. That's for social media. For the mainstream media, most of the times it's already in English. But where it's in Siswati, you still need, for example, if you are going to be dealing with the news at 7, Eswatini TV, the models are not very good in terms of detection. So you have a challenge there. Then in terms of Greater Africa, again, we have big problems. But there is progress in Nigeria, I know. There's an entity called LANFrica that's a consortium of young, interested language experts and developers that are trying to bring these languages into some kind of survival. I made a challenge last year that I would love to see at least one person is going to write a code in Python, 5 lines of code in Siswati, and it being executed. We still haven't seen that, but we still want to see the challenge coming out. So yes, we have those fundamental issues, and we have to work on them as a continent and as a country. No one is going to come
So,
and yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I interrupted. Continue, please.
No, that's fine. You can continue. I think I was done with
So
the point.
just to recap, the Wikipedia translation project, you said Great Africa and Learn Africa, yes?
So for Wikipedia, it's done by the University of Eswatini. So it's a Wikipedia-led project. We call it Translating Articles. I will try and find the actual name, but it's a Wikipedia translation from English to Siswati, but also trying to write organic articles in Siswati, for example. Wikipedia has developed a tool, a translation tool. I checked it, I think, on Saturday, just to see how accurate it is now. It was bad last year. I think they've improved maybe by 33% this time around. So the more people translate Wikipedia content into Siswati, but you still need a lot of human intervention to make it more meaningful. That's the only time we're going to have very good models that could be trained in Siswati. It's a long journey. It's far away from where I'm seated.
And the other one is Great Africa and Learn Africa.
No.
Learn Africa was the code, right?
Learn Africa is the organization. I'll try and find, let me try and find the link very quickly.
Yeah. Also, well, I think there's a comment from T, where she says that Yati marketing has also started on this. Maybe you can come to on that one. But I also know that the Innovators Association, led by Jose Rego, they have also spoken about this this journey. Because yeah, I think we do need, especially from a monitoring point of view, we the Zulu is already there. And in fact, there is some Siswati already, but not in the context of Eswatini. The Siswati that I got is really a Zulu turned into Swazi, which doesn't normally work. So I think there are still challenges there. Yeah, but I was happy that actually the new platform called DeepSeek actually has a lot of data in Siswati and Zulu right now. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's all the questions. Henry, I was wondering if I could just talk to you perhaps in the coming days about the Translating Articles project. Thank you.
No, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions, colleagues? Is everybody happy?
I just wanted to perhaps like let the people on the call also know when it comes to content generation, predictive analytics, and so forth. One tool that is really great is Notebook LM. If you want to check it out, it's completely free to use. You can put in your websites, YouTube links, PDFs, audio recordings. That's a really great tool to generate insights and put it in the format that you want. Just wanted to be helpful and share a tool. But
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you, Deepshika. You can throw in the links actually on the chat if oh yeah, you have
Okay.
it. You have it. Thank you for that. Colleagues, are you still there? You can shoot. Or are we all good? Please come through.
Yes, no, mine just.
Oh, this SK, sorry. Yes,
Yes,
my brother,
yes.
please come.
No, just want to appreciate the session. Yeah, it was one of those sessions. Thanks to the events and to Team Shaker as well. Nice inputs there. Mr. Mngadi knows, I always say, we are always here, you know, if there is something to take it off the ground. So it's just a matter of getting the support as much as you can. we'll always try and travel and see what can be done to make sure that Eswatini also raises their bar when it comes to AI and so on. Also having the elements of hackathon as an event, I think that's one of the things which allows the students, to be very creative, when it comes to developing such solutions, because we also find that this 5 line of code that you are looking for can be done implemented within a short space of time, So it's the matter of starting. We are always here to jump the border and come and assist, but other than that, it was a very positive session, and thanks a lot. With regards to the hackers, if we are always here, they will find us. So yeah, thank you.
No, thanks, SK. I mean, on the hackathons, would love to pick it up. We had a hackathon last year in October, where we had a group that worked on. I'm trying to find the perfect way. We called it Lulwimi, but they were trying to study a Siswati novel. So they started writing the code, but it was in English, but for analyzing Siswati content. So that happened, but we want to have it again. Last year we were funded by the Zuckerberg Foundation. This year, we can see what's happening in the world, but we'd love to have the hackathons as a yearly thing so that we keep on building the momentum that we started last year. Thank you. Here's Deepshika.
Hi. So, SK, about the hackathons, I just wanted to, connect with you as well. I'm currently in a group that's trying to bring blockchain and Web3 hackathons into Africa and specifically to Eswatini. So I'm the Eswatini, South Africa focal point. We're looking at North, East, West, and South Africa. So if you want to connect with me afterwards, we're looking for hackathons and conferences to bring them to Eswatini in 2026 next year. So we're starting planning now, because I feel that right now there is huge Web3 and blockchain potential. There are quite a few people, I can send you a document as well, that use blockchain, but again, they need to be more aware of the scams and so forth, because around 40-50% of people who use blockchain in Eswatini, they have experience with scams, and we need to help them with digital hygiene, I suppose. So please, if you'd like to connect with me, I would love to talk more about hackathons and coding and so forth.
No problem. I think Mr. Mngadi will make the connection with this session. Because I'm here in South Africa as security tech. Last year we even hosted the CEO of the TAP in Sentinel as well. So yeah, that people hackathons, something that can be done between Eswatini and South Africa as well. We are online. So yeah, no, Mr. Mngadi, I'll leave it to you to make the collaboration.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Right now, because blockchain and AI, there is a huge interest in AI being used in blockchain, as well as more specifically bringing Web3 and AI into Africa, or like bolstering the existing systems here. So Ethereum Foundation, for example, is looking very heavily into investing in Africa when it comes to AI and blockchain. So I just wanted to talk about that as well a little bit and give a few pointers. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepshika. Thank you, SK. So we have a few questions on the chat. Andiswati being one. I think it's also speaking to the core of our discussion today. You want to ask that again, Andiswa, just so we can hear it? Okay, I can read it for you. The question is how to strike a balance on AI strengths and human qualities in communication, as I believe over-reliance can lead to a decline in human creativity. Over to you, Dr. Evans. Do you want to tackle that?
I can read partly. It's an interesting question. So we've seen studies that have addressed exactly this. And so far we see more studies that are saying that people that use AI are becoming more creative. So that's one leg of the studies. But there is a concern, a serious one, that there are people that are relying on this. For me, what matters the most is Do you know exactly what you want to achieve? Do you know the output that you want? So you must know what it is that you want to do. So Mr. Mngadi knows how to write a press release, and he knows how it should look like. So if he was coming from a position of not knowing and just say to ChatGPT, please write this press release, and something else comes out and pass it, that would become very dangerous. So that's why I said we need to have that moment where there is a human touch, where you still come after the draft has been done and make sure that it aligns, and you do add content that's going to connect with the people that you're communicating with and add that kind of context. I'll just answer also the one that is from Veli, who says, how do we maintain transparency with our audience about the use of AI in our content creation? Then the help with free tools. But I'll leave the other question, part of the question, to you, Mr. Mngadi, and Sbu has a hand up as well.
Okay, well, I think for me, just quickly to say that I use AI, and I think in my team we all use AI, and given most of them or some of them are here in the chat, we always argue about work, which also means that it all depends on the levels of experience and insight and basically human element at play, because we don't get the same output despite that we use the same tools. So I'm speaking mainly on the generation part. So I feel that it requires a level of intelligence, of our own intelligence, basically in terms of analysis. It doesn't deprive you of your own analytic mind. If you don't have that, you'll always struggle with AI. I think the competition now for me is how much of the skills of using AI are we going to grasp? Because also, if you don't know how to use AI, then you won't get the result. I think that's the issue for me. Whether or not we should be using AI, I think for me, we've passed that stage. Now is basically how best can we use AI? I would say, and I think, I mean, hopefully not be misquoted, but I think for Stratcom in particular, one of the questions we should ask when we hire people is, what's the level of use or skills in terms of AI? And if you don't have those skills, then we'll have a problem with you, because our basis of our service offering is all in AI. So if you're not interested in that and you are not sure about whether it's got benefits, then you cannot be part of the team. Yeah, but the human element takes a larger chunk of it. That's why we get different outputs, even if we're in the same office, because the mind of the experience of what you know and the output, and even the prompt engineering, as they call it, what you input is so key that it basically is relevant to what you're going to get ultimately. So I think we have we have SK. I think those are new hands, SK.
No, yeah. No, I wanted to come in to also feedback from what Dr. said, but you mentioned most of what I wanted to also like put on the audience as well. So basically, I always say whenever I train, when it comes to AI, I always tell people that AI is just there to enhance your abilities. So if there are no abilities, which means AI won't help you, because you can write a proposal, but if you don't, like, I think yesterday I was helping the students of Limpopo. They are supposed to be a presentation, but they themselves, they can't even understand their own proposal, So like, guys, what you are doing is literally wrong, because when you are utilizing AI, you need to follow the ethical way of using AI, which is quite very important. So the transparency when you are using AI in content creation, that is very important. So it needs to be clear, you need to disclose where AI is being used. You need to ensure the human oversight. Just talk to the accuracy, So those are one of the important things that whenever you are utilizing AI, on why are you using it is the first thing, where to use it, how to use it. So there are a lot of questions that need to come in, and you can't just prompt one once and then you like, okay, now, like, you need to talk to AI, you need to engage, you need to make it understand what exactly you are looking for, you know. So I use AI every day. I use AI every day. When I go to sleep, I use AI. When I wake up, I use AI. So it's just there to enhance the abilities, you know. So let's utilize AI and let's make sure that we use it following the ethical way. So it's going to be there to enhance our ability. So yeah, just wanted to add on that one for what Dr. was saying, you know. So yes, ethical way of using it, it's the way to go.
Thank you, SK. Deepshika?
Hi, I just wanted to give an example because Mr. Mngadi, you wrote an article on a while back on basically Neil Reichenberg's new budget and in agribusiness media, and basically it was on food sovereignty. And I don't know to what extent you used AI, but you made a very human observation about how whether it would lessen our reliance on food imports, right? So, for example, I don't know to what extent you used AI, but I felt like that was a very human touch to it. So, in order to most effectively use AI and generate social impact narratives, you do have to have the human element and the human touch.
Yeah.
So I thought your one article that you wrote was a really good example of that. And I just wanted to share that with the colleagues over here to have a look and see that, like making the link between imports and food sovereignty is a very human element. And that is something that you wouldn't really normally, the AI wouldn't really generate unless you asked it to. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, definitely it was my ideas, but enhanced by AI, basically. So it already knew what I wanted to say because I fed it the same information that I wanted, to get out of it. So I think sometimes, there is a process. Maybe at some point we will have a session just on this prompt engineering, because it's a skill and you develop it over time. It's not when I started last year, Deepshika will remember, there was a time when the RC wanted to know if anybody knows about AI, about ChatGPT, and everybody said no, and I was one of them. I didn't know, and so I started researching from then. So it's not something that we were all proficient at. We improve every day. I think for me, the earlier you start and improve on a daily basis, using it is like driving or even riding a bicycle. You improve as you use. So I would encourage colleagues that don't be scared. I think for me, this issue, Dr. Evans talked about the ethics of using it. We are actually from there as well, where we were actually even saying we must delete those what do you call those things that show that you've used AIs. But my position is you don't have to hide that you're using AI, and if you show, actually that is even more genuine for me. A person should read and still feel that I'm benefiting, whether or not a person has used AI. But of course, we should be careful that we are involved, because it shows when you're not. Dr. Evans, maybe your last words, I think.
No.
Yeah.
No, for me, it's just to say thank you very much to the people that have attended this. And just to let you know that I'm working with a student who, on this work, she's here, who started this study, I think, in December or November, trying to understand AI perceptions and use cases amongst PRA people in the country. So that was, I didn't see the need at that point, but she persisted, and most likely she will come to some of you with their questions If you are available, please assist. But I want to thank you so much for the invitation. I've listened, I've learned a lot from this particular discussion myself, and don't leave me behind when you have the next one. I'd just love to come and also sit and listen and learn and bring my notebook. But this has been very insightful, and we need to keep on talking. And Deepshika will get in touch through Mr. Mngadi and SK as well, so that we talk about the hackathon, we talk about the translation. And yeah, there is more work to be done, and it can only be done by the people that we are not so many, unfortunately. We are so few, but we have to keep working. Thank you so much. I've seen the profile, SK. I'll send you a message. Thank you. That's
so
all
much
from me,
for
and
the
have a
comments.
good evening.
Good evening as well to
Thank
everyone
you.
who's been
Bye.
on the charts. Colleagues, let's continue. Next week, we have another one. We are hosting Gogo and Silwane next week. Is about influencer marketing with our colleague Mzameni Pilani Mpanza. So we invite you again, 6 to 7, or even a little bit after 7, if there are no hackers. So thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
colleagues. Good
Thank
night.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.